guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a kaleidoscope. Okay, so I've already done 3 different skinner blends and I'll show you those now and tell you what I used. We're working with Kato today. You can use Polymer if you want, but I find Kato works much better when it comes to canes, especially more complex, precise canes. So this is Kato Blue with Kato White as a 2-part skinner blend. Kato Turquoise with Kato White as a 2-part skinner blend, and then Kato Purple with Kato White as a 2-part skinner blend. If you don't know how to do a skinner blend already, I will leave a link to one of my skinner blend tutorials in the links in the description below the video, so check that out if you don't know how to do a skinner blend. Then I'm also going to be using plain Kato White. So let's begin. So we're going to need to form one of these into a spiral. So let's see, I'm going to be using the purple to do that. So I want the white to be in the middle. Let me just bring over my roller. There we go. So the white's going to be in the middle, so I just want to gently thin down the white into a tapered point. And the purple end needs to be the thickest end. So you just roll, increasing the pressure as you go down your skinner blend. Okay. There we go. Now you just take that, pinch the end, and just roll it up like so to create our little rolled skinner blend. Okay, I'm just going to put that to the side. We'll reduce that in a minute or two. This one I'm going to be forming into a skinner blend plug of sorts. Now each of these skinner blend pieces was run out on the thicker setting of my pasta machine and then folded 3 times so that it is 3 times my thickest setting, or just stacked 3 times, correct. Okay, now I'm just going to reduce this into a nice plug shape, and then I'm going to run it through my thickest setting, and I'm stretching out my skinner blend. I'm going to take it down to my middle setting and run it through again. So we now have a pretty long strip. And now I did get a little bit of debris on my white there, and I don't really want that, so I'm just going to take that and cut. And all you do is you're just going to start folding it like so, and you'll do that up the entire length of your skinner blend to create your skinner blend plug. Okay, and you'll probably end up with something like this. Now just take those ends and gently squish them together so that you form a more even rectangular shape, and that is our skinner blend plug. Okay, and we'll reduce that later on into the number of parts we need. Now I'm going to take this one and I want to form a skinner blend bullseye out of this. So I'm going to take that, run it on my thickest setting, again stretching it out like so. Take it down to my middle setting and run it through. Oh, and also for those of you that are wondering, if you have a look at a Kato block, I used about 1/3 of a Kato block for each colour in each skinner blend. That's how much I used of each type. Okay, and I'm just getting rid of that debris. And you just begin on one end, fold it. Really, there you can see me there. And you'll just roll it up like so. And just continue rolling up the entire length. And it should not take very long. And just make sure to squeeze out any air bubbles while you're doing this. There we go. then press in those ends, and now you have a Skinner Blend bullseye cane. Okay, so let's start with the one that we're going to need first. I'm going to need 2 of these. So I'm going to need to reduce that down, and I need to be able to cut out, I need to cut this into about, let's say, a 1/4 and 3/4 piece. So I'll show you what I mean as soon as I've reduced it down. You just use your acrylic roller to do that. It's very easy. And this white is softer than the turquoise, so you'll notice that I am not rolling that because it seems to be reducing along with the blue quite fine without me actually using my roller on it, so I will not be touching that because otherwise it distorts and reduces out of proportion. Okay, and we're nearly there. Now I will just take that, and you can see it, there is a air pocket here, so let me grab my blade, just slice along there, see if I can smooth out that air pocket. There we go. And then just continue reducing this. I don't want it to be much longer than this. Just going to use my roller one more time just to get it into the correct shape, and then we can cut out what we need. So these end pieces we're just going to gently trim. You can use those in lots of different leftover techniques. And then I'm going to be cutting probably about say about 1/3 of this, and then I'm going to have 2/3. And what we'll do this one is we'll then squish this back up to the size of this one, so we have a larger piece to work with, but it will be the same length, if you know what I mean. There, so you can see we have a larger piece to work with. Put that to the side. How we're going to do this, and I think I'm probably going to need about 3 parts for this. So just start reducing one end and on the other end. And the reason I like using Kato clay is it doesn't get as sticky as Primo would. It doesn't get as soft and sticky. It kind of retains an almost elastic texture. Okay, now I want to take this. I'm just going to chop off our ends, and there you can see roughly what it's going to look like. I'm just going to cut out as many pieces as I need from this, and I'll probably end up with some extra. Okay, and this one I'm just going to gently squish down. That way I'll end up with something a bit larger. Put those to the side. And the last one is this one, and I'm not sure how many I'm going to need this. I want to reduce it down fairly small, but I'm going to need quite a few. I'd say probably around 8 at least. And I would advise sketching your kaleidoscope design, or at least just one triangle of your kaleidoscope design, before trying to create your own design. I find that that's generally the best way to do it. I've tried to do it just out of my head, and although it works alright, doesn't turn out as nicely. This is a more precise cane. Okay, there we go. I don't want to reduce that down too far. Chop off that end bit and that end bit, and I'm not going to chop this into sections just yet. I will leave that and we can worry about it later. So our main piece is going to be this large Skinner Blend plug, and I want to take one end, the blue end, and I want to just round that out and gently start pressing it out like so. And I'll do the same on the white end, gently round it and then start pressing it out, lengthening our piece. So we get kind of a tapered effect. Just making sure to keep that round. Sure to keep that round as well. So hopefully you can see there we're getting a tapered look. You can also use your roller to assist you in this, to move it along a little quicker. Just roll on each end like that and then pinch. And gently stretch. Okay, and that's roughly about the shape I want. So I'm just going to even that out so that it's a even shape the whole way along. Like so. There we go. Then I'm going to take this piece, and I'm actually just going to take the blue end, and I'm going to just pinch that, and I'm going to form it into a small triangle shape. Like so. And just work that and get it into as sharp a shape as you can get it. Make sure these edges are nice and sharp. Right, there we go. And it needs to be a fairly flat triangle. Gonna lay it on one side like that. Then this is gonna come out of one side like so. And I want to pop one of these in. I need to just reduce that down a touch more so that it sits right. That needs to sit there. Then that needs to come around and curl over it. So, and then this is where I would like to use the bigger one now. And I'll pop that around like so. And I actually get that little triangle to hug that piece like so. So you can see that. Okay, that's one side of our triangle. Okay, then I want to take that, put that to the side. I'm going to grab these and I'm going to cut them into the right length. Like so. Go. I'm just going to have them sit together like that. And then I want to take this and I'm going to gently pinch this edge where the dark purple meets the light purple. And I want to form that into a triangle. Now I want it to sit on the edge there. Okay, and I'm going to repeat this one, pinch it, and form it into a triangle. Like so. It does not have to be a completely precise triangle. Pop it there. Like so. Okay. Now I'm going to take these and I'm going to figure out how I want them to sit. I want that to fit roughly like that. Connect that one in like that. Okay, and then I want to fill this void with white. So I'm just going to take some white. that, and this has already been conditioned, if you're wondering. Press that into a triangle shape. Make sure it's a fairly sharp triangular shape and even over the surface too. And don't worry about that bit, I'll reattach that in a minute. I might actually want to even attach it differently. Keep it like that. Experiment around and see what you like. Put that there. Take that off, and I'm actually going to put that in like so. Actually, I'm going to put that little blue bit there, but I want to flatten it out first to do that. There we go. So that it forms a rough triangle shape. It does not have to be a perfectly triangular shape when you get to this point, but it needs to look roughly triangular. So I've made it so that one side is longer than the other two, if you ever look at that, because I'm going to be reducing this down and then I'm going to press it together so it looks like a square. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that, and now you just want to start pressing on these sides and getting it shaped into the correct triangle shape, because it's not going to come out perfectly triangular in the beginning. Just work on those points. Okay, so now we've got a more triangle looking piece. Then you're just going to continue pressing like so, and you're going to start reducing. So you press on these edges and you gently pull, press down, pull, press down, pull, and continue pressing down and then pulling until you've reduced it down so that you can cut it in half, and then comfortably continue reducing it so that we can then cut that into 4. Okay, and then when you get to the point where you're quite happy to cut, take your fingers and just smooth along the edges, and this is just going to even it out. And this is another reason why Kato is nice, because Prima, I find it smudges a lot when you do this. When you're using Kato, it doesn't tend to do that for some reason. It's just a different consistency. So now we're going to trim up these edges, and here is what our initial cane looks like. Just trim up these edges because you don't want distortion in your cane. You can see here how we can form it into different pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this in half. I think I'm going to form it in half like that. Now you want to take some time to very gently and carefully press that together so that it looks like the two images mirror each other. I'll repeat on the other side. Gently maneuver it so that they sit together perfectly. And there is a little air bubble there, but that will get squished out once we start reducing it. Okay. Now at this point we can decide whether we want to go with a hexagon shape or if we want to go with a square shape. I tend to like going with a square shape. So at this point we want to take this and we want to gently start pressing these sides this way so that it forms a square shape. You can see it's starting to form square. And just go slowly and methodically with that. You can even use your roller after you get it a certain degree of the way into a square shape to just start sharpening up those edges. And also it will start reducing it as well, which is quite nice. And we want to be able to cut this into 4 pieces. So you're going to want to reduce it to a comfortable length for you. Okay, and I'll just continue doing this until it's reduced down to the right size. There we go. Then when you're ready to cut it, just go along these edges and gently smooth, making sure that your cane is even along the length. And this will also sharpen up those edges a bit. Cut off your distortion. You can see there how it looks. Okay, then we're going to cut it in half. And now we can choose different ways to position it. By swapping around, I want to do it this way. And again, just like before, you want to make sure that you match those sides up perfectly, or at least as perfectly as you can get it. And this is why sharp points is important, because that helps you match up the whole way up and down the cane. Then gently press that together. Don't do that too much though, because we want to cut it again. What I do like to do is I like to just gently give it a roll and a roll, very gently, just to square it up again, get those edges nice and sharp again. And then we're going to cut that in half once more. Take that and press it together like so, so that those edges sit together correctly. And just make sure that you repeat the process on the other side. Okay, the other side, I have a little bit too much clay on it, so I'll just slice that off. There we go. And that will just make the process of matching it up easier. Okay, and there we go. Then gently press those sides together. And then roll. And now I probably will not reduce it anymore. This is a good size. If you reduce it too much, you'll find that the cane becomes blurry, and it doesn't blur, but the features become blurred and it doesn't look as sharp as it was in the beginning, and you lose a lot of the detail. That's also why the big plug of white in the middle is quite important as well, so that you keep it not too busy, because you are going to be cutting that piece, let's see, about 8 times. Yeah, you're going to cut that original piece 8 times and repeat it. So you need to make sure that your original piece that you're working with, the design, is fairly wide and open, so that your finished design looks not too cluttered but busy enough that it's interesting. Okay, and there we go. Now I'm just going to gently smooth along those sides, just to straighten up, and I'm going to slice it in a moment with a nice sharp blade to show you what it looks like. But I just want to show you the progression there. So that is our original piece. It's fairly open, not cluttered at all, actually quite boring. Then you repeat it, suddenly starts to get a little bit more interesting. Again, not that interesting still, but then you put it into a kaleidoscope like this and suddenly it actually is quite interesting. And if you added any more, it would have become quite busy. So now I'm just going to quickly slice that for you. So generally I would advise letting this rest before you do this, because you get the best result by doing that. And I like to rest at least an hour before I actually start properly working with it. But I can give you a good idea of what our finished piece looks like. And now it's got that little hole in the middle. That's fine. All you would need to do is just continue gently pressing along those sides to get that little hole fixed up. I'll just trim on this side to show you what it looks like. And there you can see on that side, it looks exactly the same. So that's basically it for this tutorial. That is how you create a kaleidoscope, and now that it is in a square shape, you can go and repeatedly layer those slices to create a veneer for whatever you want to create. Bangles, bracelets, collars, jars, or just in general a pendant. So hopefully this tutorial was helpful to you. All of the leftovers that we did accumulate can be used over again in leftover techniques, especially since they're not too busy and quite clean. We did not include any black in this project, and all of the colours are matched together. So if you did mix this up into one colour because your leftovers did not work particularly well, you would end up with a fairly in between purple and blue and a nice light colour. So that's something to think about while you're caning as well, which is quite important because sometimes you do have mess ups and you don't really want to use it in leftover techniques. Maybe you just want to combine it all together again to create one colour. Thinking about what colours you're using definitely helps. So I hope that tutorial was enjoyable to you. Let me know in the comments below, and if you have questions, please also ask them and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. And if you would like to support this channel, please do consider becoming a patron. I will leave a link to my Patreon community in the links below the video in the description, and that really helps this channel quite a bit. You'll get exclusive tutorials on Patreon, and you'll also get discounts to my Etsy shop. And so please do consider becoming a patron. That's super helpful to me. And as always, I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.